everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of my Death Knight Let's Play series in World of Warcraft, where we are approaching the end of this series. And today I want to explore Northrend. As last episode we completed the Death Knight starting experience and explored some of Outland. And let me just say, Northrend is some of my favorite content in all of World of Warcraft, so I am very excited for this. Here I'm going to talk to Chromie here, and I'm going to switch our experience to the Fall of the Lich King for the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, where we can explore Northrend. And a very fun thing about Northrend is that we are going to see this continent return in the future expansion of the Last Titan, where we can take the ship to Northrend at the Stormwind Harbor or in the wetlands, where both the Horde and the Alliance each have two different starting points in the continent, and one of them is right over there, but I want to start at the other starting point, where with the Burning Crusade expansion we saw the Dark Portal be the main way to get into Outland, and it's the starting point for both the Horde and the Alliance, and all of the Horde and Alliance characters is at the Dark Portal, and then they go to Honorhold and Thrallmar from there. But during the original release of the Burning Crusade, this was a disaster, and there were so many issues with lag and disconnects and whatnot, where with the next expansion, Wrath Lich King, they decided to make it completely different, where instead of having one entrance, there's basically 4 entrances, where the Horde have an entrance in Borean Tundra on one part of the map and an entrance in the Howling Fjord on another part of the map, and the Alliance have an entrance in Borean Tundra and Howling Fjord in 2 different parts of the map away from the Horde, where both of the starting zones and all of the zones in Northrend are areas that I love a lot. And I'm just going to say this 20 more times, I just absolutely love Northrend content, where I play through a lot of Northrend in streams similar to Outland, so I'm not going to play through everything, but I'm definitely going to play through a lot. And moving forward in my life, I'm definitely still going to be playing some Wrath Lich King content here and there, as I inevitably continue to play World of Warcraft probably for the rest of my life. But I'll just resubscribe every now and then, play through some vanilla TBC Wrath Lich King. That tends to be my favorite parts of World of Warcraft, and maybe check out Retail WoW every now and then with whatever the second to newest expansion is. But if you're interested in checking out some of the content in Wrath Lich King, you can check out my live stream series, not my Dragonflight one, my older one. Something I do love about Retail World of Warcraft is the view distance, because we are flying into the wetlands right now, and we can see Gilneas right there, which looks incredible, and Hillsbrad, and you have the Arathi Highlands, and of course the entirety of the wetlands, or part of the wetlands at least, and the Dwarven Farms, of course Ironforge Mountain. But as we come down into Menethil Harbor, which is sunken a little bit because of the Cataclysm expansion and all the shenanigans that went on in that expansion, we do have this boat here, where this boat used to lead to Obradine and Darkshore, but with the Wrath Lich King expansion they added the Stormwind Harbor, where they now have a boat that goes to Obradine there, as well as a boat that leads to the Borean Tundra, and then they've replaced this boat to be one that goes to the Howling Fjord, and then that boat still goes to Theramore. And nowadays in Stormwind Harbor it's a little confusing, and there's we have the boat to Borean Tundra still, but then we have one to Terragard Sound for the Battle for Azeroth expansion, and then we have a boat to the Dragon Isles with the Dragonflight expansion. But I love the vibe of this boat so much, it looks so cool, and it is now sailing off. And the music, of course, is absolutely incredible. And out of the 2 zones, Howling Fjord tends to be the most popular of the 2 to play through, where honestly it is so good. Let's take a look. What an incredible entrance into this zone, and I really, really hope we get permanent Wrath Lich King servers because the shit makes me emotional, and I really just want to only ever play this expansion, and also the Burning Crusade and Vanilla as well. But I love Wrath Lich King so much, and I'm excited to continue doing so, hopefully for the rest of my life, just because I love it so much. But as we land here in Valgard, we can go ahead and begin doing the first quests, where I'll just spend some time here, and then we could go check out Borean Tundra as well, and I can fly around both of those zones, maybe a little bit more as well. We have Vice Admiral Killer here, and we can go ahead and turn in this quest that we got. Just to welcome ourselves to Northrend, and I think this quest is going to take us to Delaran. Yes, it is, so I'm going to ignore that. And we have another quest up here, which will also take us to Delaran, so we'll ignore that. Where we have a Valgard here, which is the main Alliance outpost at the start of Howling Fjord, where there are a couple more cool outposts that we can see, where we need to kill 12 Dragonflare invaders. So we are currently rocking our Frost Death Knight specialization that I started when we were in like Death's Breach and Scarlet Enclave, and I'm just going to go ahead and keep this build for now because I'm not going to be doing too much fighting in the rest of the Suspect series because I just want to go on a bit of a nostalgia trip as we clear things out. Dragonflare Invader dead, and we just need 8 more now. I've been having so much fun playing my anniversary character, and I've been doing something very special with that character where I've just been really focused on only playing that character, where I haven't made any alts yet, where I often play like a ton of different characters, but I really want to try to complete as much as I can as far as like open world content goes on that character. I want to get like Lore Master, assume we eventually get Wrath Lich King content on Anniversary Realm, since we are going to the Burning Crusade. But I just want to complete all the quests, unlock a bunch of stuff, get exalted on all the reputations on one individual character, and then hopefully, I'm really hoping, as I said, that we get permanent Wrath Lich King realms. I'll play more and more characters afterwards. We have defended Valgard a little bit, so we can turn in this quest here. And now we have a quest to rescue 8 scouts that have been impaled by spears. So let's head out this way. Come into the forest. The waterfalls, they are so beautiful. I feel like Northrend is just an incredible experience, where I recently played through some of the Dragonflight expansion on various streams, and I found Dragonflight as a very beautiful continent as well. And I find it very similar to Northrend as a continent, which is interesting to see. I also feel like the Broken Isles are also kind of similar to Northrend in a variety of ways. And I think they're just cool areas to explore, but none of them, at least for me, kind of hold up to how incredible Northrend is. And I'm sure a decent part of that is definitely nostalgia. But honestly, just like the questing experience and like all of the zones in Wrath Lich King itself are just straight up incredible. The Raikou are very cool as well, and of course they are the original humans, where we see some of the different races around Azeroth originally come from Titan creations, where the Titans created the Raikou and then they were corrupted with the Curse of Flesh by Yogg-Saron, which made them into the fleshy humanoid creatures we see here. But then over time there was like some sort of like genetic mutation or whatever, which is actually a quest that we experience in a little bit if you were to continue down that quest chain, where we see humans come from Raikou. So it's kind of cool to see like humans coming to Northrend and like dealing with the Raikou, because they're basically the humans' ancestors. But now we can turn in this quest, which I believe is the last of like the basic starting quests here, where we now just unlocked a ton of potential quests we could do, where we can go off to some different areas and explore some like cool storylines. And as we complete like these first ones, we unlock even more that we can do, where I think now I want to go ahead and just take some time to explore this zone as a whole, which it's just an absolutely beautiful zone. I love all the mountains and all the trees and the buildings. Of course, the architecture of the zone is incredible, especially with Utgard Keep there and Utgard Pinnacle at the top. I do love the loading distance in Retail World of Warcraft, as I said earlier when we were flying into Manetho Harbor. But in Northrend, we can just see like all the mountains of the Storm Peaks way off in the distance there. You can just see Northrend going off very, very far. And I'm very excited to see how this area is going to change in the future with the upcoming expansion. We have a Storm Giant right there, which is very similar to the Fell Reavers from Hellfire Peninsula, where the Fell Reavers actually did eventually get a quest where you have to kill them, but the Storm Giant I think has like no real purpose. So similar to like the original Fell Reavers, where they are just very dangerous creatures that walk around this zone and can basically one-shot low-level players. We have the Horde starting area here, where there's a lot of undead storylines going on in Wrath Lich King, given the fact that there's, you know, undead and Arthas and the Forsaken come from the Scourge, and there's like all the Scourge storylines and whatnot. It's a very undead heavy expansion, and they really like dive deep into like some of the stories related to the Forsaken, especially with the Plague, where we of course have the Wrathgate incident that basically starts the major conflict between the Horde, which starts here in Wrath Lich King and then goes until the Siege of Orgrimmar in the Mist of Pandaria expansion, where there's a little bit of a truce until the Battle for Azeroth expansion, where we have the full-blown war across Azeroth, which now we no longer have any real big wars between the Horde and Alliance going on. Kind of be like Steel Feather, a very classic hippogriff there. Fort Wodovar is one of the other big areas for the Alliance here. This is kind of like the third area that you come to, where we can go ahead and fly off this way to see the second area, which is incredible. And I have so much nostalgia with like all these different places around here and all these locations and all these quests. I just have so many memories of playing so many different characters and like running through here and completing all these quests and just spending time at like these outposts and whatnot, where when you spend like so much time going back to like a town where you have to like sell things to your vendor and turn in quests and like repair your armor and whatnot, I feel like you get really connected to like specific towns. Like a lot of Alliance players, a lot of human players definitely have a lot of like nostalgia with like Goldshire, Sentinel Hill, Lakeshire, and Darkshire, just because you have like the starting human experience that really focuses on those 4 towns, and you spend so much time going back to those towns to do different things, where you just build a connection with the town and like the NPCs in there, which is kind of ridiculous to think about. But that's like a very fun part about some of the older versions of World of Warcraft, including like Wrath Lich King, where you just spend so much time in like specific towns, where with like future expansions we do see that with like Valdrakken and the Dragon Isles, for example, but I feel like you don't have a lot of opportunity to build connections with like some other towns because you just go through it very, very quickly. Steel Gate is cool. All the mountains are very cool. We can see a necropolis off in the distance, which looks very similar to Akris the Ebonhold. And if you look this way, we can see Naxxramas right there, and we can also see Icecrown Citadel. But Naxxramas used to be in the Eastern Plague Lands, and then it moved here in Northrend, and it's doing stuff over there, which is scary. I have a lot of bolts there, and a Goblin Zeppelin that was commandeered by the Alliance and is being utilized against these boats in order to bomb the pirates that are on these boats. But then we also can see way off in the distance there's a giant turtle, which is a Tuskar turtle that they use to basically sail between the 3 big Tuskar villages, which we can see down there in a moment. But here we have one of those areas that is just so nostalgic for me, with a Westguard Keep, and I just love this area so much. And there are some quests here that we can do if we wanted to. We have a dwarf statue here. I'm actually never really sure who this statue is of. Maybe it's of Quartermaster Bravlin, but just a very cool area. That's a very cool quests. Westguard Crossbowsman. And we have a Lunk Tusk here, who is our introduction to the Tuskar in this map, where there's a lot of Tuskar in like the first 3 maps of Wrath Lich King and Borean Tundra, the Howling Fjord, and in Dragonblight. And I just feel like it's so cool to have like 3 big villages that are like along the southern coast, and you can like ride one of their boats like back and forth between the 3. It just feels like super cool, and it's like a very nice like element to Wrath Lich King, where the Tuskar as a whole are just a people that I love a lot. and like the Kalyak, which are these Tuskar, where there's also like the Iskar, Tuskar, and like some other Tuskar, I believe, around the world. Or all of them are very cool, but I definitely have an affinity for the Kalyak because they're the OGs, and I have so much nostalgia with completing the quests, especially like the quest chain in this map, where you really focus on the Tuskar Kamagua, and you have like a major quest line where you like infiltrate the pirates and you complete like a ton of quests to recover like ancient Vriko artifacts in order to calm down the Vriko spirits. And we have this really cool method of transportation that only exists in this like one spot in all of Azeroth, I think, where we can ride this like long boat down here towards the Tuskar village. You can see the little landing right here. Very cool looking. And then the village proper, of course, of Kamagua, where I love the Tuskar architecture as well, and it's very similar to like the Dragonflight Tuskar architecture, but you know, slightly more dated, which is very, very cool. Right over here we have the introduction to the pirates, where we have like this group of pirates that would take you over there. I always found this like a little bit funny, because this is like a, you know, it's a full-on pirate vessel where we got a boat and we got a side boat here with like the first mate and the captain and the cabin boy, and then a parrot, of course. But it's a little bit less extravagant than your typical pirate vessel. We have the Twin Shores right here, which we can see is a very fun looking location. And I love all like the icebergs around here, and we can see some penguins at some places. But over here is the big pirate stronghold, where we have like the North Sea freebooters, where we also see like the South Sea freebooters in like Tenaris and whatnot. But all these pirates here, which we do become friendly with as we complete the quests around here. Scoodles, a big orca right there. Just a very, very, very beautiful area, as I've said many times. One final thing that I want to take a look at is right over here, which we missed at like the start of our adventures here in the Howling Fjord, because it takes so long for me to load into maps in Retail World of Warcraft. But like the boat basically spawns right here, I believe, and then it sails in through this little canyon here, or ravine. But we can see penguins hanging out on the icebergs, which I think is just absolutely incredible. And I love them so much. They're so cute. And look at the baby ones. And oh, there's just so many fun things about Lich King that just speak to me and like come together in a very, very cool way that just makes me love this expansion so, so much. But with that, there are also so many different storylines going on in this expansion, where you can see some Titan storylines here, where we have a massive Titan Keeper, presumably right there, which there's a big storyline going on with this, and might be something that we see in the upcoming Midnight's expansion. But let's hang out with the penguins here, and I'm going to take our Hearthstone back to Stormwind, and we can go ahead and begin exploring at the start of Northrend via the Borean Tundra. As we fly into Stormwind Harbor, I can see the boat to the Borean Tundra right there, and I'm flying as fast as I can. Where I think once we reach level 30, we actually get like faster flying speed, which is cool. And I'm going to hope that I can make this boat where the Stormwind Harbor is incredible, and was a fun introduction to the Lich King expansion, where we see it being constructed at the end of the Burning Crusade expansion, which I think is a really, really fun like detail, where you can just see like walkers like building up there, and then as you come down here during like the Lich King pre-patch or whatever, you can explore a very, very cool area. Blackrock Mountain off in the distance looks absolutely incredible. I love it so much. Oh, there's so many like fun details and like World of Warcraft as a whole, just because of like the loading screen or loading distance update. We're going into the Borean Tundra is a little bit less cool than the Howling Fjord, but it's still cool in its own right. There's actually a couple players hanging out here, which is fun. Well, let's go ahead and get off the boat. And this is so nostalgic for me, because Borean Tundra was the first one that I explored, the first zone that I explored in Lich King, where I came here instead of the Howling Fjord. So I just have a lot of memories with this place, where we have a very cool thing going on here, where as we get off the boat, we can see all these civilians here that are lining up to basically join the war effort in Northrend, where we can skip the line because we are special, and we can go ahead and report to the general, where he comments about us skipping the line. And let's go ahead and just fly through this really incredible area. Valiant's Keep looks super cool, and we can see a bunch of cool locations all around here, where the Burning Crusade feels a lot like vanilla World of Warcraft, where like just aesthetically, where they just use like a bunch of like the same assets, where there's like the classic keep asset from vanilla World of Warcraft, which we see reused in the Burning Crusade and Outland, but then with Lich King we see some new assets added to the game that are overhauls of some like the classic assets, where they still use the old ones but now they have new ones as well, where this is the new keep, which we see in like Cataclysm as well and in future expansions. And we can level up to level 21, which is cool.
For the Alliance.
And then we can report it to Sergeant Hammerhill. Right, let's run back down here. But there's, you know, a new boat asset, a new inn asset, new tower assets, and just so much stuff, which makes Lich King feel very special, because it's like the first time that they had like a big overhaul to the graphics of World of Warcraft, where the Burning Crusade graphically feels very similar to vanilla, which a lot of people like the Burning Crusade because of that, and don't like Lich King because of that, because the Burning Crusade feels like vanilla World of Warcraft Part 2 in many ways, where Lich King feels like a big evolution. But for me personally, I still find Lich King to be very similar to like the Burning Crusade and vanilla World of Warcraft, even though like some of the balance starts getting very different than vanilla World of Warcraft. But I still love it a lot, and I think out of all the expansions, Lich King balance tends to be my favorite one. There's like, you know, some classes that I enjoy during like certain times of World of Warcraft, but I think above and beyond across all the classes, I just enjoy Lich King balance a lot, and just like the gameplay elements and like the specialization and class identity present in each of the specs and each of the classes. At least when it comes to like open world solo questing, because that is my favorite thing to do in World of Warcraft, as it is my favorite thing to do in mini games. And I just have a ton of fun playing so many different classes through the world. Where playing as a Death Knight is fun, but I've done it a lot recently, so it's kind of like a same old for me. Where I've been playing a lot of Mage, of course, ever since I started my Human Mage Let's Play series, where I was like really falling in love with the Mage class, and that is what I'm currently playing in Anniversary, as I did a couple streams on that character. And I just enjoy playing so many different classes, because the class you play really like changes your experience throughout the world, even though it's like the same content. And the world is, I'm going to say it again, absolutely beautiful here in Northrend. We have a quest that I always found a little annoying right here, where we can go ahead and like throw a net of these flame spitters, and then we can go ahead and like attack them when they're on the ground, where if you have like ranged abilities, you can use those ranged abilities, which is fine. But I always found this quest like a little annoying, but it's still a really cool concept, and at the end of the day it's not that annoying, and it's fun in its own right. I think the start of Borean Tundra is really cool, because you are like fighting undead like right off the bat, where in the Howling Fjord, when you're playing as a Horde character, you're like fighting Alliance, and as an Alliance character you're fighting Vrykul, which those two are really cool. But I feel like as like an introduction to Lich King, it's really fun to just start fighting some undead and then explore some other storylines as well, where both the Horde and Alliance in this map spent a ton of time exploring storylines related to the undead, especially at the start of the map, but then further into the map where we can see that big necropolis up there, similar to Akris. We can turn in this quest to Sergeant Hammerhill, and then we can plug these sinkholes over here where there are some members of the Cult of the Damned hanging out, and I think I'm supposed to have an explosion or explosive. We have this. Go ahead and come down here. Throw that, and then let's see if I can mount up potentially. It looks like I'm in combat. If I come over here, I can then fly away. There we go. where we can see some Caldoi ruins off the distance, which is very cool looking. And of course, there's always going to be some Caldoi storylines, since they used to basically live everywhere in the world. Over here, we have these Crypt Lords hanging out right there, but I think we want to come to this one, which does have a Crypt Lord, or it could be any of the three, I think, so let's come kill this one. A very cool looking Nerubian. Where we have these classic crypt crawlers, which we see from vanilla World of Warcraft. And then we have these Crypt Lords, which I believe are new to Wrath Lich King. And they are a very cool model. They look very similar to their lord, a new Barak, which is of course a Crypt Lord. And let's go ahead and throw this explosive and get out of here. Valiant's Keep looks so cool. And I love how we can just now see like Icecrown Citadel from really anywhere in Northrend. I guess we didn't see it from like the far eastern corner of the Howling Fjord, but we can really see it from here, and it looks so cool, and it's like basically what you're working towards throughout the entire Northrend experience. And we got new shoulder pads here we can go ahead and equip, but we're in combat. Now we're not. And I do love Northrend armor, where we just unlocked the Far Shire quest, and we have this quest here, which will take us around the map. And then we have some other quests that we have unlocked. We have so many quests here. We have one which is going to go to the Gnomish airstrip. We have this quest to go to Delaran. We have Larissa taking us around the world. We have a quest in here to go to Delaran, and then we have this quest here to go interact with the Blue Dragon Flight, which is like the second biggest storyline in all of Wrath Lich King. Here we can see Keen Varian Rin looking very cool, kind of in his Logosh form here. In tribute to Keen Varian Rin, known to some as Logosh, the Ghost Wolf, his miraculous return from long years of exile and hardship has ignited a new fire of spirit and courage within the Alliance. We shall march boldly into these perilous lands, holding his valor and his tenacity in our hearts. High Lord Bolvar for Dragon. Which, that of course is a very fun storyline. Let's come into the hole of the Stormbreaker, where we can see a ton of cultists down here, and I'm going to be a little cocky and I'm just going to pull all of them, because why not? Let's see what happens here. Let's try to get as much runic power as we can, so then we can just heal up. We can raise an ally. Never mind, maybe here. Oh wait, that's on an actual ally, I think. Okay, I have a ton of runic power, so I can do the Lichborn stuff once we get low on health. I can also use the Death Strike. Okay, let's target ourselves, do this, and then do that again, and then a third time, and we're back to full health. Very cool. I just love Death Knight because they feel so powerful. And there is that group of 6 cultists defeated, where we have this quest here where we can report that there are cultists among us.
Can I help you?
We can turn in this quest, and then we have this quest to report to General Arlos, so we can do just that right over here, where we have a massive crafting area with a bunch of different crafting trainers, which is always fun to see, because with each expansion we have a ton of new crafting opportunities, and like crafting skill used to get like increased, but now each expansion has its like own thing, where we have 2 new quests here that we can do. But I think similar to what we were doing in the Howling Fjord, I now want to go ahead and spend some time just running around exploring some things in the Borean Tundra. And we do have this quest that we can turn in, so we might as well do that, get some rejuvenation potions, and then we can come over to Far Shire, where I really love how there's a Shire town here, because it's kind of like a continuation of like the naming convention, where there's some caribou here and a poacher, which I think this is a bug. They're supposed to be like way over there. Where you can see some undead attacking these farmers, and I love the use of some of like the older alpha models here of this alpha human. I think they're alpha human, and then this alpha female human, and this other one here. I just love using some of the different models in like World of Warcraft at like different areas, just because it adds some like detail to the world, because like, you know, this is a very unique looking human. But a ton of quests here that we can explore if we wanted to, where we can see the Horde starting area way over there, which looks super cool. Warsong Hold, a very cool location, where I do love all the Horde quests throughout Northrend as well, where the Horde can come over here to deal with a lot of quests, including right here where we are about to see a basically echo of Kel'Thuzad, the final boss of Naxxramas, and one of Arthas's best friends. A very interesting part of Borean Tundra is Kodara, because it just looks very different than the rest of the map, where we have the Nexus here, where we have basically like the main part of the entire Nexus War storyline going on during Wrath Lich King, with all the Dragonflight storylines, where we have the raid boss of Malygos that we can fight in this expansion, and we kill one of the aspects where he eventually gets replaced by Kalecgos. So many fun and beautiful areas are around here, and I say this so much, I'm like a broken record, but I love Northrend, and I just love questing through Northrend and just exploring all of the zones and like looking at everything. And a lot of people don't like Borean Tundra, but I still love this zone a lot. A very interesting area here is where we have some of the druids of the Sonaran expedition, where we have King Murgle specifically, but we have this like camp of Murlocs who we can help, and we actually have kind of like a pseudo reputation here, where you can gain currency by getting some clams from over there and around here, and you can go ahead and bring the clams here to Alurgur, and you can go ahead and buy like some specific items that I don't think are ever really like too important. I think there's like one cosmetic thing and then just like some random like potions and stuff, but it's just like a really fun experience where I did get a couple of talent points that I should maybe just throw in randomly. Why not? And we now have on a pale horse, which if we come back here, we can see it right here, where our mounted speed is now increased by 20%, so this will help us fly a little bit better. Really quickly, let's go ahead and explore one of the last zones of Wrath Lich King, where there aren't too many things going on in this zone as far as like unique specific highlights of areas, but it is still a really fun zone to play through, where there's like two major quest lines going on here. One is we have a Hemet Nesting Warrior quest chain, which I find really fun and is a really fun quest chain. And then we have a big war going on here where we have these Gorloks of the Oracles, and then we have the Wolvar of the Frenzy Heart tribe hanging out here, who you can basically ally with one or the other and fight to the other and complete some other quests around here. But Sholazar Basin is just a really unique zone in its own right, and it's just incredible to like play through and just to look at, where we have the Hemet Nesting Warrior camp here, where we can do quests if we wanted. A classic Easter egg here where we have this hatch. This is 5, 19, 16, 17, 24, 43, which doesn't seem exactly right. Then we have a massive landslide coming in from Icecrown, which we can see off the distance, which looks very cool. And some more undead storylines going on in this area, where I guess there's like a third minor storyline related to like the Titans, where we can see like Wintergrasp over there, which is related to the Titans. And a few different facilities around here, which are just incredible. But we have the River's Heart right here, which is a really, really cool location, and it's kind of like a landing pad for like an airplane, but it's more like a helicopter pad. It's a very small landing location. Oh, I guess they do use helicopters here, but there is like a storyline or a quest where you do ride a airplane out of here, I think, which is interesting. But so many fun details like all around the zone, and just small little intricacies, which I love a lot, where there's like a rainbow right here, which you can see at a certain angle. There we go. You can see like directly in front of our character there, and it's just very beautiful looking. We saw some oracles, but of course we have the Frenzy Heart as well. Very cool looking Wolvar. Back in the Borean Tundra, we can return to like another Titan storyline where we can interact with the mecha gnomes, the original gnomes, where we see dwarves, humans, and gnomes kind of learning about their origins throughout Wrath Lich King. But then we have a really cool area here where we have a big airstrip, so much bigger than the helicopter landing pad we just saw in Sholazar Basin. And I really love the detail of just seeing an airstrip here used for the Alliance war effort. We have Kaskala right here, which is another Tuskar town, but this is just like a questing area and a daily quest area where we can actually fly over here to see a proper Tuskarr town, which is the one in Borean Tundra, which has the boat, and then we have the one over here at Kamagua, and then in Dragonblight we have Molokai Harbor, I believe is what it's called. Yes, it is, which is basically where the boat in Borean Tundra and the boat in Howling Fjord both go to, and then they go to the other areas. So if you wanted to go from Borean Tundra, we could get on the boat here, go to Dragonblight, and then get on the boat to the Howling Fjord, which you can see the massive turtle boat here, which I just love so much, and like the dangling carrots that make the turtle move forward, just all the different details around here. We got like, you know, the starfish there and the fishing pole and the bags and like the cages and whatnot, and just so many fun details that I just love so much. It just makes this world feel alive. But we have Unupe here, just a very cool area. I just love Northrend so much, and I really hope that we get permanent Wrath Lich King servers, just because I want to spend most of my time whenever I am playing World of Warcraft to be in areas like this. We do have a Tonka village here, which are very similar to Tauren. They're like the same as Tauren, but they just lived in Northrend, so they look a little bit different. And then you can see the massive Scourge necropolis here, with a massive Scourge storyline going on. And this is basically the end of the Borean Tundra, where there's like, you know, a lot of different quests and a lot of different like smaller areas that we can explore, of course. But I just wanted to fly through and go down a bit of a nostalgia trip. For our next episode, I want to fly through the rest of Northrend, and I just want to talk about some of my favorite memories, and I just want to do a couple of fun things at the end of next episode as we bring my entire World of Warcraft mega series to a close. But I hope y'all enjoyed watching this episode, and I hope y'all come back next episode for what should be a very, very special episode. And I hope y'all are taking good care of yourselves. Remember, as always, to drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time in the Road of Azeroth. Goodbye.